The presidential election in Tanzania might be repeated, and I'm going to unveil to you whatever that the organizations that are board of election in Tanzania have come out, and they want the election to be repeated against Samia Suluhu Hassan, who was vying alone. I'm going to unveil to you the current situation in Tanzania, where a large number of people came out and protest during the election. It has never happened before. The time of Julius Kabarange Nyerere, the time of Jakaya Kikwete, and the time of those head of state that were in Tanzania. These are never happened before. You know very well that Samia Suluhu Hassan took over from John Pombe Magufuli, who died. What is currently happening in Tanzania, and the reason why election is going to be repeated in Tanzania, more so the presidential election. There was a low turnout. 17% of Tanzania are the one that came out to practice this general election. The president, Samia Suluhu Hassan, was the one that was championing for everything, was the one that was spearheading this election to be done, because he knew very well that he has arrested all the opposition leader. Those people that were going to give him a hard time during this election, he arrested them and he released them one day before election. This is something that should not be happening in Tanzania. On our today's episode, I'm going to reveal to you who are these people that wants election to be repeated in Tanzania, and the reason why people are against Samia Suluhu Hassan, calling him Mama Idi Amin Dada and the biggest dictator in Tanzania currently. Hello guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for the support. Thanks so much for the love. God bless you. God bless you. If you are new here, kindly subscribe and click the notification button for you to never ever miss any episode that we post here in our channel. As we always say, we are Africans and Africa will remain to be our business. Our main objective is to make sure that Africans are united, Africans are working together, and Africans are loving one another. That is what we are going to do. That is what we are going to champion for until Africans are going to be united. Samia Suluhu Hassan is going to have a hard time. On our today's episode, election were carried out in Tanzania yesterday. That was not an election. If people are against you, people don't want you to vie because of destabilizing the human right. It is something that you should take into consideration. You know very well that the President Samia Suluhu Hassan, even before election, he was parading himself as still the president of Tanzania. What is really happening? So many people came out in large numbers. 17% were the people that practice in this election in Tanzania. Most of the Tanzanians are very annoyed with whatever that Samia Suluhu Hassan is doing to them. It's destroying the human rights, it's destroying the freedom of speech for so many people. As you are talking today, there's a curfew that has been impounded in Tanzania. Starting 6 p.m., there's no resident that is supposed to be seen along the street. That is something that Samia Suluhu Hassan has said. Remember that he has not fully been declared as the president of Tanzania, yet is coming with a rule that is harassing the people of Tanzania. Most of the people came out and they destroyed the government facility. They destroyed so many things in Tanzania because of the freedom of speech that were not being allowed to practice in the street. Samia Suluhu Hassan came out and criticized those people. 4 people were killed yesterday in that process. What is really happening? This has never happened in Tanzania. So many people have been taking Tanzania to be a soft country. Tanzania have been a peaceful country. What has really changed? What has made them to change their ways? This is a president that should take that into consideration and should take the thing that happened yesterday in Tanzania into total focus, because this is going to shock you. There's so many organizations that have come in. Even the Election Commission Board in the whole of Africa want that election to be repeated in Tanzania because of whatever that Samia Suluhu Hassan has done to innocent people. Remember that 19 polling stations were burnt down by these protesters. These are people that were not allowed to practice their right into the ballot. These are the people that some of them were supporting Samia Suluhu Hassan, some of them were not supporting Samia Suluhu Hassan. How can you come in and declare that election was free and fair, election is going to be legible, if you are not following the right of innocent Tanzanian? Samia Suluhu Hassan should come into consideration because a lot of organizations aren't happy with the way that is still running Tanzania. People have claimed since he came to power, he has done totally nothing. He has been using these big influencers to make himself look superior. Yet people are very annoyed. So many Africans are very annoyed with the artists in Tanzania, because those are the biggest puppet, those are the biggest people that are being used by the president of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, in his own favor. Most of African, more so here in Kenya, are very annoyed, and they have said that there is no artist in Tanzania that is supposed to come here in Kenya if that is the way that is going to run the country. You should practice unity amongst Tanzania. Why are you supporting a president that is against the freedom of speech for innocent Tanzania? Why are you standing in for a president that doesn't want people to practice their constitutional right into the ballot? How are you going to declare yourself president? That is what this organization have said, that they want that election to be repeated with immediate effect very, very fast. That is the news that is currently happening in Tanzania. We'll always be here to inform you. We'll always be here to educate you. We'll always be here to tell you guys whatever that is currently happening in Tanzania. As you know very well that Paul Biya declared himself as the president of Cameroon. He was declared by 53.7%. And his own opposition leader, known as Chiroma, they want to arrest Chiroma, saying that he wanted to overthrow the government of Paul Biya. That has made Biya not to be happy, and he has said that he must make sure that Chiroma goes to jail and spend the rest of his life in jail. That is the current news that is currently happening in Cameroon. You know very well that also the election that were carried in Cameroon, 5 people lost their life in that election after Paul Biya was declared the president of Cameroon. He's 92 years old. How is Paul Biya going to run the country in Cameroon, yet people are against him? Most of the member of parliament, most of the people, that the delegates that are in front of this parliament, they are from the opposition party. You as a president, how are you going to pass your agenda? How are you going to pass some of your motion? Yet the most members of parliament are from your opposition. Chiroma came out and declared himself to be the president of Cameroon. Right now, he's still on the look. They want him to be arrested and put behind bars. And also whatever that is currently happening in Cote d'Ivoire, where Alassane Ouattara, who came out and became the president of Cameroon, whatever that Alassane Ouattara did, he arrested his main competitor, known as Samora Kamara. He knew that this was someone that was going to give him a hard time. Remember that Alassane Ouattara won the votes with 89.9%. People didn't come out in large numbers to vote because they knew they aren't going to vote for anyone, because Alassane Ouattara is under state capture. I'm going to unveil to you the reason why Paul Biya came out and declared that he was going to vie for the second term. Paul Biya is just a puppet. He's being used by a superior state. He's being forced to vie for this seat. Yet Paul Biya, even him, didn't want to become the president of Cameroon once again, but is being used as a puppet, control like a remote, so that he can stay in power. We are going to be telling you guys whatever that is currently happening here in Africa. As well as say, we are Africans, and Africa will remain to be our business. Our main objective is to make sure that Africans are united, Africans are working together, and Africans are loving one another. Road is to 100,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for the 89,000 subscribers. If it wasn't for you guys, we could not be here where we are. Kindly share, like, click the notification button so that people can know whatever that is currently happening here in Africa. As well as say, we as Chris Nolan TV, our main business is to make sure that Africans is rising up, Africans is united, and Africans are loving one another. Game over.